you sit right now, what would you say were the most important measures that manufacturing companies, large or small, should be taking to prepare? What should they be doing now? But no matter what happens or how quickly it happens, what are the fundamental things that companies ought to be doing, in your opinion?
I think it's an interesting point in itself that different sizes of companies have to act differently or can act differently. I mean, depending on your balance sheet and your profit and loss, you can do different things. So if you're 2 or 3 people in a garden shed, it's hard to go out and buy Microsoft. But on the same token, I think the old adage of sticking to the knitting, the core competencies, and investing in them hard, because the recession will end, has ended in economic terms, technical terms, I mean. And I think the companies that invest during the bad times in their products, in their solutions, and in their people, and in their relationships. So those are all things that Jeff very admirably covered. And I think those that don't, I think if you don't do those things, you probably will be in trouble. Surprised there hasn't been the shakeout in the industry that maybe some of us predicted. Maybe it's still to come. But most companies seem to be surviving, which is actually quite interesting in itself, I think.
Yes, because certainly we've seen a reaction, a very understandable and necessary reaction in certain places just to cut costs. But the concept that there's a strong necessity to invest at the same time is something which has not perhaps been quite so evident.
Yes, indeed, and for us it's hugely important to get the right solutions that do add value, that do provide a return on investment. Having an elegant solution isn't really good enough anymore. And you've got to be offering value.
I fully understand. Now, I'm going to come to you in a second, Tom. Don't worry. Have you got the microphone there? I hate giving people unpleasant surprises, and I've done this to you before, Steve. But when you came in the room, one of the panelists said, "Oh, there's my first ever customer," and I feel that it probably would be, if you don't mind, if you could represent for us the broadcast community. For those of you who don't know Steve Fish, he's the VP of Technology for the Turner Group, based in London. I need a microphone if that's possible. Steve, from the customer's point of view, what advice do you have for the manufacturer community at this particular juncture? What is your perspective on the survive and prosper landscape for broadcast manufacturers?
Yeah, thanks, Adrian.
Land you in it. But I feel I'm a good enough friend that I can land you in it from time to time, and your views are always valuable. So
I think the points raised around knowing our business, understanding what we're trying to do, and understanding how we're trying to do it are all very important. And those dialogues are incredibly useful for us to help us survive through whatever's coming over the next 6 months, year, whatever. I'd like to turn it around. I do have a question actually for the panel, which is, in the past we've all enjoyed our own solutions. We've all had our own dreams and come up with this is the way we would like to do it, and had those discussions. The question is, are we seeing in tighter economic circumstances and with reduced engineering groups within a lot of the broadcasters that we as the end users are beginning to accept more standard solutions?
That's a very good point. Best of breed perhaps is no longer what people are looking for. They're looking for good enough but economic to implement. Where should we start with that one? Jeff, we haven't heard from you for...
Yeah, I think it's a good question. It's an interesting trend we've seen. I think the technical staffs of most of our customers have gotten a lot more willing to take standard products, as long as obviously it meets